Salutations, Stan the Fan Charles.
Back at you, Glenn Clark. How you feeling, buddy?
Oh, I've had a week, but haven't we all? The
Yeah.
Ravens are no good. Maryland football blew a big lead, but at least the New York Yankees were eliminated from the postseason. We do have that going for
So
us.
you love that video of David Ortiz and Vlad Guerrero.
Yeah, duh, Yankees lose. Could do that all day. Could
Yeah.
do that all day. Also, as if all that wasn't enough, had a rough week in picks last week, Stan.
Well, that's kind of common for both of us, isn't
It's
it?
been a rough season. It has
Yeah.
not been a
Six.
great year.
Both of us. Both of us. Last week you went 1-2. We both had the Ravens, and we
Yeah.
lost that game. How did we pick the
I
Ravens?
have no idea what we were thinking, Stan. No idea.
You had your lock winner was Detroit, and they did best Cincinnati by 10.5, although you got a late scare, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I had the New York Giants as my lock winner. I learned a lesson there as New Orleans Saints won their first game of the year.
Yep.
And then lock losers, I had the Bills, which I know shocked you as a lock loser, and New Orleans beat them straight. New England beat them
Yep.
straight up. And then you had Jacksonville as your lock loser, and they beat Kansas City. So we're onward and upward. We're both 6-9 after 5 weeks. It's my week to pick first, but we're going to do the Raven game first.
And first, I'm going to remind everybody that our picks are brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER and helpmygamblingproblem.org. We, of course, have fun with these picks. If you are not having fun, if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, then give them a call again, 1-800-GAMBLER for free confidential services. And Stan, they're also brought to you by the Costas Inn.
Costas Inn now with 2 great locations. The old location, 54 years at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and that's where you have to go if you want Costas Inn steamed crabs. 410-477-1975 to find out about availability and reserve your crabs. And the new location at the grandstand upstairs in the grandstand at Timonium Racecourse, right next to the OTB. Same great menu as the old Costas Inn, except no steamed crabs there. It's a great place, though. A little closer in town for a lot of people in the Towson, Pikesville, Owings Mills area to stop over Timonium rather than drive out there. But they're doing booming business at both places right now, Glenn.
They are the best. We love them a great deal. Stan, we don't love how things have gone for the Ravens, and it's been a long time since we've seen something like this. Ravens 7.5-point home underdogs against the Rams on Sunday. A West Coast team playing at 1 o'clock. Keep that in mind. And the forecast, not great for Sunday. Just something maybe worth keeping in mind as well. Some weather in the forecast on Sunday. Could that be a factor? Does not look like Lamar Jackson will be back. Does not look like Roquan Smith will be back. Worth pointing out that today reports are Marlon Humphrey was back at practice for the Baltimore Ravens. So that'll be something to monitor moving towards Sunday. Patrick Ricard also returned to practice, but considering he hasn't practiced all season, it feels like a stretch that he would be on the field on Sunday. Maybe
seems like he'd be there for the Bear game.
Yeah, that looks more and more like that's going to be the play. The Bears game seems to be the play for, Lamar, Roquan, perhaps, Pat Ricard.
And a reset at 1-5.
Well, don't give anything away, Stan. We haven't made the picks yet. Don't give anything away. Don't read ahead.
Picks are by point spread, Glenn.
That's true. That's a good point.
So, I mean, the Rams could win the game, and I could pick the Ravens plus the 7.5, and I could get a win even if the Ravens lose.
That is true. All right. Stan, 7.5 is the number.
I'm doing thumbs up, thumbs down.
I do not have my paddles, but I have one of the logos pulled up on my phone, and so I will present it.
Oh, okay.
When we get to the
that's a good idea.
Countdown. All right.
All right.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, and I can't. Oh no, it's backwards on this. I can't make it work. I need to have the logo.
It works fine for me to look at.
Yeah, for you it works, but for everybody else, they see Al. They think I'm picking the American League or Al Davis.
We're both taking the Rams minus the 7.5. Glenn, I'm tempted just like I was last week, and I don't know what hit us last week. I think we thought we weren't playing a very good team, and the Ravens would somehow magically show up, and neither thing looked to be the reality last Sunday. That was one of the most putrid Raven games that I can remember, aside from the game in London when we got killed by, was that Jacksonville that killed us in that game?
Yes.
This was just a disgusting game to watch, and with more injuries are coming, I don't see how the Ravens – I don't see how they can cover in this football game the way the defense is playing right now.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is abysmal, Stan. And look, I do think it matters, the idea of having Kyle Hamilton and Ronnie Stanley. Like, it just ended up being overwhelming what they were without on Sunday. It was untenable to beat any NFL team with the group that was out there. It doesn't change dramatically just with those two guys being back, but at least gives them maybe a chance. I also think we've already seen, obviously, the Ravens make a trade this week with Odafe Oweh being shipped to L.A. for Alohi Gilman, the safety. I think the Ravens are kind of openly admitting that they can't be as bullish as they've been. And I wouldn't be stunned if, like, there's at least one offensive line change on Sunday as well in a desperate hope to get the run game going. All that said, to your point, until I see something different, the Rams are a very competent football team that's had 3 extra days after suffering a brutal loss. I think they're hungry as hell coming into this game, and I just like them by at least 7.5.
Who are we assuming? Are we assuming Cooper Rush is going to start at quarterback?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Like they've flirted with the idea that maybe it could be Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley can't.
Rush has not looked good though.
No, he has not looked good. But in fairness, they have no O-line. Like everything's a disaster at the moment.
Yeah, it's
a
disaster. It really is. You know me, I'm not the biggest John Harbaugh fan, but I find it hard to place all the blame on him. So it's a real. It's not pretty.
Yeah, they got a lot to do. They got a lot to figure it out.
Yeah, they got a lot to figure out, and I think they'll lose this game. And then I think their best chance is to get a little streak going against the Bears and maybe try and win back-to-back games then. So anyway, it's my week to pick first, Glenn. I picked this game before I even knew it was in London. I just happened I noticed that Denver was playing the Jets, and Denver was only 7-point favorite. And so I Googled, will the Denver Broncos be practicing on the East Coast this week, figuring they played in Philly, that they would practice on the East Coast? It says, no, they're taking a plane. AI immediately answered and said, no, they're flying right after the game to London.
Yep, spent the week.
So I realized they're playing in London, which I think factors in partly to, I think the team that goes to London that's playing well has a much better chance to play well again than the team that seems to be in utter chaos and not doing much of anything real right. So I like Denver minus the 7 points against the Jets in London. I feel bad for Aaron Glenn. This is a really bad organization.
Yeah, everything about it is bad. Sometimes there's this weird thing where I almost just stay away from the London games entirely because they always feel like they are so goofy that you don't really know what's going to occur. But I get it. There is nothing to like about the Jets. Obviously, the Broncos coming off a really emotional stunning come from behind win over the Eagles. You do wonder about a little bit of a letdown, but
I wondered about that, and that factored a little into my thinking. Mm-hmm. And then I just said, you know what, Sean Payton's going to have this team ready to play this game against this team. So I like them to win the game by more than 7. Who's your lock winner?
My lock winner, I did a lot of research last week, and I went 1 and 2. So I went back to some gut feelings this week. I said, the hell with research. All it got me was a 1 and 2 week. So I went back to some gut feelings. And I'm doing some emotional plays of teams that I think are ready for pick-me-ups or letdowns. And a team that you picked against last week, quite smartly, is a team that I think is going to turn around this week, and that's the Buffalo Bills, who will travel to Atlanta on Monday night. So you start with the fact that they do have an extra day for that. And while Atlanta has had their moments this season, they have been a wildly inconsistent team. You don't know at all what it is that you're getting. I think the Bills, after getting that wake-up call from the Patriots last week, will be bouncing back this week. The number is only 4.5, which I think reflects maybe a little bit of that. So I'm going with the Bills. Small number, and I get it. It's a road game in the NFL. Anything could happen, but I think they bounce back this week.
All right. I've always been, Glenn, my lock loser involves a team that I took last week to beat the Bills, thereby making the Bills my lock loser last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been a Mike Vrabel fan. I love him as a player, love him as the coach of the Titans. And I think he's pretty well set up to do a pretty quick turnaround on these Patriots. I didn't see it early in the year, but I've been watching them a little bit, paying attention. I think they are on a high now, having beat the Bills. I think that's one of the rare games, I think, where he can coach off of a win and get the team to play even a higher level. I think Josh McDaniels is doing a terrific job with Drake May. They're a 3.5-point favorite over New Orleans at New Orleans. And I think the New England Patriots win the game and win by more than 3.5 points.
I get that.
Over the New Orleans Saints.
Yep, I'm not getting too high on the Saints as well. I do not see that being a thing.
Are you reasonably high on? I'm not
reasonably. It's weird
I'm not
because
they're going to make the playoffs.
Obviously, Stephon Diggs has looked great the last couple of weeks. Almost kind of a crazy renaissance with 200-yard games each in the last 2 weeks. I like Drake May, but I'm maybe not quite as high on some. I think one of the things you saw yesterday is when he's going to his right, he looks phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And I think the more teams see that on video and film, the more they're going to be inclined to take away him going to his right. And so I just think he needs to show, and maybe he will. Maybe next week they'll take away to his right, and he'll look great.
That's how you get better at something.
100%.
You may not get better automatically, but you're right.
Yep, but until I see it, I'm just sort of measured in how high I am on him. But
I think they're capable of winning eight games.
I think they're going to be competitive.
8 or 9 games.
I agree with that.
All right.
My lock loser, Stan, is these are just, I'm looking for spots this week. Teams that are very high, riding high, that might be in for a letdown, and teams that are in bounce back spots. And my lock loser is now they're America's sweethearts. My lock loser is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are now 1.5-point home favorites against the Seattle Seahawks, who, of course, lost to the Buccaneers in a thriller last week, 38-35, actually put up a ton of points. It was the first time their defense really looked suspect this season. I just think this is ripe for I don't know how good the Jaguars are. I know they just got a very emotional win over the Chiefs.
Yep.
And so I think we're all riding high on the Jaguars. I think there are things to like about the Jaguars, but I'm still not totally sold. And I know I picked against them last week, so maybe it's just me going back to the well that I'm still not completely sold. But I think this is a spot where coming off a win like that and a Seahawks team that just lost a heartbreaker who has already proven that they know how to come to the East Coast and win a 1:00 game because they did it against the Steelers earlier this season. That's a spot that I like. I don't think you're going to see Mike McDonald's defense get beat up back-to-back weeks. I think that was very surprising from a good Seahawks defense last week. So with the Jaguars being favored by 1.5, I realize that I'm essentially taking the Seahawks to win the game. But I think this is a bounce-back spot for Seattle and a big letdown spot for Jacksonville. Yeah. So give me the Jaguars, my luck loser.
I've been thinking this week about the Cleveland Browns, the history of that franchise, and how much different they would be if they had stayed the course with Baker Mayfield.
Oh, there's a butterfly effect conversation to be had there. Did Baker Mayfield need to go through the bumps of a couple
it humbled him. There's no question about it.
Like, but I think
they have had how many quarterbacks since they came back into the league? It's something like
40,
41
yeah,
people started
43, I
getting-
think, after they started Dylan Gabriel
Yeah.
this season.
Do they still have time to trade for Joe Flacco again?
Trade back, get him back?
Yeah.
I don't know if look, at some point, that offensive line in Cincinnati is going to get Joe killed. I don't know that he's going to make it to Thanksgiving in Baltimore. He's going to get murdered behind that O-line. So I think the real question is, does Shedeur Sanders at some point add himself to that list this season for the Browns? And we will find out.
Let's recap it real quick and remind you that we're brought to you by 1-800-PROBLEM-GAMBLER.
1-800-GAMBLER. HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. Yeah.
.org, and the Costas Inn. And Glenn and I both 6-9 after 5 weeks. Not terrible, but certainly not good. We're both hoping to right our ship this week by taking the Rams -7.5 over the homestanding Baltimore Ravens. Although I don't think Glenn or I would be upset if the Ravens won the game. Okay, I'll just say that.
That would be wonderful.
I like Denver giving 7 points in London against the New York Jets, who are winless so far this year. Glenn's lock winners, the Buffalo Bills, -4.5 at Atlanta. My lock loser, the New Orleans Saints, getting 3.5 points. They play an impressive young team, the New England Patriots, in New Orleans. So that's the one thing I got going against me there. They are a fairly good home team there. And Glenn's lock loser is the Jacksonville Jaguars, -1.5 points. They're favored over Seattle. Glenn thinks they're lock loser, thereby thinking Seattle's going to win the game. Pretty much, right?
That's what I'm thinking. All right.
That does it for this week. We'll be back with week 7 next week.
Yep,
and is that the Ravens bye week?
That'll be the Ravens bye week, indeed. So we'll maybe make some playoff predictions, see if we believe that they can get out of their hole. We'll have that conversation. And Stan, of course, you'll be in with me tomorrow morning as we'll get you ready for Rams color analyst.
Looking forward to it. And Ross and Luke and I will be on Monday at about 5 o'clock.
Very good.
With another Press Box Live baseball edition.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.